group of 33 Republican senators sending a letter to President Biden warning him they will block any new nuclear deal with Iran unless it gets congressional approval. Joining us now is former DOD Chief of Staff Kash Patel. And I think one of the things that the senators are suggesting is that we are possibly heading into a deal with Iran that is even worse than the one from before.
I mean, thanks for having me. It's shocking to even picture a scenario where that's even possible, and I'm glad these GOP senators are speaking out. But the thing with Iran is you always have to pick, and you can't have both. It's either Iran or Israel. You can't have both. And I think this is what the stand that they're taking is. If we go back into any form of the JCPOA, we are violating our relationship with Iran, not to mention the fact that they are marching towards a nuclear deal. These people are already creating weapons-grade plutonium, violating the agreement they did under the Obama administration, and now the Biden administration is giving them a reward for violating the agreement they were already in.
So Ted Cruz wants to get Senate approval for whatever they do. Here's the key line. The only reason not to present this to the Senate for a resolution ratification is that it's too weak to pass muster. Is it?
I think so, and I think you hear people like Senator Menendez, a Democrat of all things, talking about how this cannot occur and this cannot happen. So if it's presented to the Senate, I don't think it'll pass, but you have to remember they don't have to present it to the Senate to make most of the sanctions applicable or lift most of the sanctions. Just last week or 2 weeks ago, the Biden administration lifted the very sanctions in Iran that we're talking about that were put in place under the Trump administration.
So Cruz can give them a hard time, but can't.
No, it's just like Nord Stream 2.
It's the administration's call.
Yeah.
I think one thing that would be helpful for viewers to understand, Kash, is why does this all matter so much right now?
Well, it's at a critical time when America's national security is being tested, be it with Xi Jinping in Taiwan, be it with Putin in the Ukraine situation, and now we're talking about Iran, the world's state sponsor of terror, the #1 sponsor of terrorism. They kill more American soldiers through their IRGC Quds Force than any single entity on America on the planet Earth. So from a national security perspective, impossible to allow that to occur. From a defense strategy, all Iran wants to do is take out America. So why would we enrich their capabilities to take out America by allowing them a pathway to a nuclear weapon?
And is the idea that there is a civilian nuclear program that Iran is pursuing, is that all a ruse?
No, they are. Fordo, Natanz, we can go on and on about their nuclear facilities that are
for their own domestic nuclear power, though, like not for weapons.
I mean, for my time in the Trump administration, we looked at all that intelligence, and I think it's a farce.
Right.
I think they do, the civilian population of Iran does need energy, but I don't think the Ayatollah and his regime actually care about the civilian population.
Let's talk about Ukraine. There's a piece in the Wall Street Journal giving Joe Biden some credit, President Biden some credit for standing up to Putin in a way that a lot of people did not expect that he would do. How do you think his team is managing this?
I think the only thing you need to look at is that the Commander-in-Chief of the United States was not in the room with President Putin this past week. It was French Premier Macron. Why is that happening? Because America has lost its footing on the global stage. Putin is taking advantage of that situation, and now he's talking to the French Premier.
But Putin and Biden could meet sometime in the future.
They could, but they're not. And all Putin is doing is using his propaganda machine to supplant U.S. supremacy on the national security stage. And
when Macron goes to meet with Putin, of course, he says, this is what Putin promised, and within like 3 minutes, Putin said, actually, no.
And again, that's what I was talking about. Like, he is winning the propaganda machine. Yeah. All eyes are on him. He's running the global media stage. I don't think he's ever going to actually invade Ukraine, but he's going to go to the 1-inch line because it gets him maximum exposure, and he can't afford World War II.
Well, and has he already succeeded in terms of intimidating everybody around them?
Yeah, look at him. I mean, it doesn't cost him much money to do that.
So you're saying no invasion?
No. He won't.
In the meantime, he lives rent-free in our heads and has been for 6 years.
That's the best way to put it, actually. I've never heard someone say that, but he is. And we are nowhere to be seen. Our emissaries, our envoys aren't talking to him. They are being told and directed what to do from a Russian standpoint of view. And we can't allow that for one of our biggest arch enemies, at least in the cyber and nuclear program.
It's interesting. General Jack Keane said something similar on Monday, that he didn't expect an invasion.
No.
But that there's a lot of damage that has already been done.
Oh, absolutely. We've lost footing in Western Europe. Our allies, Germany, is getting power from Russia through the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. And our sanctions under the Trump administration were lifted so they could complete that pipeline. And Germany sent 5,000 helmets to NATO.
Remarkable.
Great to have you here.
Yes, you come back, okay?
I will. Thanks so much.
Kash Patel, nice to see you again in person.